Hello YouTube, back with the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Review, and today I'm reviewing Structure Deck Fury from the Deep. And of course, this is a pretty decent structure deck, I have to say. It's not one of the best, considering the fact that the boss monster, which I'll show you shortly here, it's not all that great, and I'll make note of a little misprint that's common in all of them. But first, let's go through the cards that I've added to this. A copy of Snowdust Giant on the right here, and then it drains the attack points for every opponent's monsters for each ice counter you put on. It's pretty easy to summon. I'm also including Brian. I also do plan on putting Bryanak in here. Granted, Bryanak's errata doesn't change it for me. I always used it for my opponent's cards. I never used it. I never had enough cards that benefited from that. I don't think I thought they were all that good in terms of. Yeah, there was probably a couple cards you could use it on, but most of them are banned. Pretty much a Burial was probably one of the obvious ones people use them. That's a lot of why it got hit, I think. Yeah, but Shark Drake, let's see, Shark Drake is pretty powerful. Yeah, it takes 3 level 4s, but it's pretty easy to get out, especially with some of the cards I've included in here. It's major beatdown card. Just by detaching a material, you can bring back the monster it just defeated, drain its attack by 1,000, and then attack it again. So obviously, if it beat it the first time, it's going to beat it again, and your opponent's going to take more damage out of it. It's only once per turn, but with 2,800 attack points, it's pretty decent for what it can offer. It's probably one of the few number cards I actually own I actually think is relatively good. There's a lot of cards in here that are pretty decent here. Some have been obsolete now with the release of, Link and Xyz monsters, which don't have levels. Here's Gravity Bind. There's a couple copies in here. I'm sure this deck was probably pretty decent. And speaking of other cards in here that are pretty decent, Legendary Ocean is always going to be better than Yumi and even Yumi Uruka, which is basically plus 500 to all water monsters or something. It's a lot like those other field spells of similar nature. But Legendary Ocean does a little bit better because it drops level by 1 of all water monsters in your hand and on your field. So basically, that's partly why I included Gravity Bind here. Because when you have a Legendary Ocean on the field, then your monsters can slip through it as long as they're level 4 or lower. And this can also be really useful because you got monsters like, let's see if I can find it in here. Leviathan Dragon Daedalus, which is level 7 monster normally, but with Legendary Ocean it's level 6. That's a big difference because that means you can play with 1 tribute. And it'll have 2,800 attack points to activate its very powerful effect, because once it's on the field, it wipes. You just send Yumi to the graveyard. It's a very minimal cost. Just send it straight to the graveyard, and it wipes out everything else on the field. It's quite powerful, and especially you can also make use of it if you use. I think you can use it with. No, not so sure. You might be able to use it with. Yeah, you should be able to use it with. Hardened on Dragon, because then you can prevent it from being destroyed other ways, like having the effect negated. So things like, opponent goes, oh, Torrential Tribute won't work if you use oh no, it'll be level 6 if you use it with Legendary Ocean. So it may not be the greatest idea, but it's level 7 technically when it's on the. No, yeah, it's level 6. So the only way you'd be able to do that is if you played it with 2 tributes. In which case you're probably not going to be all that great. But it's got 2,600 attack points to start. And it's, of course, the main component for when you need Ocean Dragon Lord Neo Daedalus, which has a misprint. It's all copies of this card are misprinted if you buy the structure deck, so expect it. It has supposed to require Leviathan Dragon Daedalus as the tribute, but as you can see here, it's not listed here at all. The way you tell it's a misprint is because you look at later prints of this card, especially with the version you could get by sending it to Upper Deck Entertainment, who was in charge at the time. Konami, I think, was basically just the distributor. Now, basically, they do both with Upper Deck's lawsuit regarding printing counterfeit cards. I think that's how that worked. Card still is okay. I wouldn't say it's great. It still has the same cost. The only problem is you still have to attribute Leviathan Dragon Daedalus, which is only really. It's just probably, I'd say, arguably the better card. This card basically does a little bit more, and then it clears your opponent's hand as well. I think both players' hands are sent to the graveyard as well. So if your hand sucks, you're not really going to lose a whole lot. But at the same time, it means you gotta start from square one and hope that you end up getting a monster card or something that can help protect you on your next turn. but your opponent has to do the same thing. So I guess it's not all that bad. It's a little stronger. It's technically 1 tribute officially, being level 8, but it's not that great. I mean, I guess with Legendary Ocean, it would be a 3100 attack. It's not too bad, but not the greatest boss monster in the set, in the structure deck. And just for extra reasons, I'm throwing in tuner monsters, obviously, because I was going to include Bryanak. I think I had plans for other synchros as well. A couple copies of Warrior of Atlantis, obviously. It's not only for searching out Ocean Dragon Lord or Legendary Ocean, but it's also a good beat stick as well, because it does not require the field spell to avoid, self-destructing like cards such as, what's the name of it? Zeradius, Herald of Heaven requires it. It's a little stronger, but it self-destructs if you don't have the field spell. And of course, it works to bring up Bryanak, so there's that too. I mean, oh yeah, and here's another card included, Wind-Up Shark. The only wind-up monster I've actually considered to be that good, because most of them require once while they're face on the field. Yeah, I know they've done well with certain cards are now, I think, either limited or banned because of the loops they were pulling off with that. But this one's good on its own because it's not once while facing on the field. It works on itself. So if you play one copy, you can special summon another copy, and then you can just basically manipulate the levels up or down as you will. Pretty decent. So, I mean, also some pretty decent cards in here, like Hammer Shot. Hammer Shot's pretty good. I mean, it's not as good as, like, Smashing Ground, which can go to high defense. Monsters with the highest defense. And, I mean, granted, there are times you can use Hammer Shot where you can't use Smashing Grounds. I mean, but most of the time, you're going to want to use it on your opponent's monsters anyway. But, I mean, I'd say it's a pretty decent deck. I mean, I also included Moray of Greed, which is you shuffle 3 water monsters from your hand into the deck, shuffle 2 water monsters from your hand to the deck, and draw 3 cards. Pretty decent, especially if you got pretty crappy cards. It's better than Reload for sure. It's probably not going to beat Magical Mallet, but I'd say it's a pretty decent card. I've only included 1 in here just for... so I don't know how often you're actually going to pull it off, and you may still get bad cards in the end result. I mean, obviously one of the big cards they included here was Mobius the Frost Monarch, one of the best single tributes, one of the best monarchs in the game, considering the fact that you basically make 1 tribute summon, and then it destroys any 2 spell or trap cards on the field. Your choice. I mean, that's pretty good in itself, and then it's a beat stick on its own. So even if you can't destroy anything, okay, you got a nice beat stick on the field. You can also use it with, I think there's a card in here, in case there isn't anything big in here that you can destroy. Oh, did I include Water Hazard in here? It's a good, it's a lot like Call of the Mummy, which works for zombies, but it's a little less specific. This is restrained to level 4 or lower monsters, but that's pretty decent. They're all going to be level 4 or lower in most cases anyway. So you'll be able to easily get 1 on the field, and then you can distribute it for Leviathan Dragon or Mobius, whatever you want. Oh yeah, and I've also included Poseidon Wave, kind of for obvious reasons, because that involves for every one of your water monsters, they'll take 800 points of damage, so it won't just negate the attack. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 57 Aqua-type monsters, 800 damage for each of them. So, and this deck includes a couple of each, I think, at least 1 or 2 of each. So, I mean, you're going to get something out of it, and of course it includes reprint of Tornado Wall as well. Not the greatest card, but if you got the 2 on the field, you can't take any battle damage. That's not too bad. That's going to go a little further than things like Wapaku, which will only last 1 turn, but that includes Destruction Metal. And here's the other card I was thinking of. Big Wave, Small Wave. Not the greatest card, but I mean, it can help. This can also help. So you can play a weak monster, then use Big Wave, Small Wave, destroy it, and then you can bring out Leviathan Dragon, whatever you want. That can be special summon, obviously, so you won't be able to bring out Ocean Dragon Lord with that. I mean, there's a lot of decent combos with this, even today, but it's probably a little outdated now. But it was probably, I would arguably say, I'm pretty sure I brought this deck in at one point or another. Had some success with it, and it probably didn't make top 4 or whatever. But of course, you got Mother Grizzly. This can be really helpful, especially as it includes Salvage. You got your typical cards like MST and Dust Tornado, and some cards you may not have been able to get your hands on, but you always want to get your hands on. You have Space Bamboo's in here, 7-colored Fish is in here. Let's see, Creature Swap is in here. There's Salvage as well. Of course, they got a couple copies of Fenrir. You got the True Tributor Supporter Unshaven Angler is in here as well. You got Call the Haunted. You got Torrential Tribute. Basic cards that I think that were probably considered staples. I would arguably consider them staples even today, especially considering the fact we have a lot of versions that are like watered down and not really all that playable. I mean, you know, Reject Reborn, stuff like that, where it's just like, why do they bother creating them? But overall, this is a pretty decent deck. I mean, it would have been nice if they included Magical Mallet instead of Reload, but and there's some cards in here I just don't know why. Zingzahu, no one runs this card. I would arguably say it's still not that great of a card. I mean, you'd rather run Jinzo. I mean, yeah, it's not a water monster, but it will lock down pretty much every card your opponent tries. I mean, it'll lock at least half of your opponent's. Considering today, trap cards are still used. They're not going to just go away. So Jinzo would arguably be the better card. Now, yes, they probably could have included Royal Decree as well. That's another card that could have included. It's also a continuous trap. Does what Jinzo does pretty much, except in trap form. It's a trap card instead of a. But I mean, yeah. Granted, I would say this is a worthwhile deck. You probably have to modify it further for nowadays, but Brynak's off the list now, so you can go get that. Especially since it's been reprinted, it's been updated. It's at 1 in the trading card game, and if you go to Japan, it's unlimited, which is kind of surprising because in fact it's still pretty overpowered. It's just restrained to your opponent's field. That's kind of I think what most people do with it anyway. I mean, they can't do the loop. The only thing they got out of that is being able to take out the loops that it was able to do back in the day. And they made it so you can only use it once per turn, so having multiple copies doesn't matter. But I'd still say arguably it's pretty overpowered. Because being able to discard any number of cards from your hand to return stuff from your opponent, that gets around a lot of cards today. That gets around like Stardust Dragon. It's any card that creates a lockdown will get bounced back to the hand unless they can they've got Safe Zone or stuff like that. But then you can just return Safe Zone back to the hand, and then you can turn that monster. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with that card. It's relatively easy. I mean, I'm trying to think. Did they actually restrain it somehow? I'm not sure. Yeah, they might have. Trying to look up. I'm not sure. They might have done something to it. I don't. Oh no, they might have. I'm trying to look at the wiki. I've got the wiki page on it. I think they actually did make some restraint to the. But I don't think they did enough to it. I mean, if you run it in a water deck, it's probably going to be usable anyway. It'll just be a little bit harder to bring out. Somewhat like they do with Goya Guardian. The Goya Guardian is still overpowered. I mean, dropping it down to Earth, making it an Earth non-tuner is a wise choice, I think. But running an all-Earth deck doesn't really mean a whole lot. I've already got it for such purpose anyway, and you'll see that when I get to that structure deck. But yeah, that's my review on Structure Deck Fury from the Deep. Thanks for